as we figure out who is going to be moving on into 2019 to join the already direct invites into the tournament itself. Let's get into game number 1. It's going to be Miramar as we have the plane crossing over, and it's going to be going dead center, boys. Game number 1. Let's get it going. What do you think?
I am super hyped about this. Is exactly what you want in a game 1 plane, right? No one can complain and say bad planes, bad rotations. We had to drive 6 miles to get to Pozo. Yes, it's the way you want to start. Everyone's on even playing field, and this is going to be huge. Vanguard, by the way, it looks like they're getting the North all to themselves. This is huge news for a team that is frustrated after GLL.
I mean, yeah, just by dropping all this, well, you're going to have most looting time. You're going to be able to rotate quick enough. But look at it, we do have some teams going for San Martin.
So it should be a pretty interesting game. I'm hyped to see what happens.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to go over to the commentary team for all the action for game number 1.
Yes, thank you very much, guys. And here we go. The first match of 15 just in Group A. We've got Group B, and of course, then we've got the overall qualifiers. I'm Lee DMN Smith, and joining me is WTF Moses. And this is going to be, well, an intense day, I think, of Miramar, is it safe to say. Obviously, the first game, and looking at the map right now, you can see it's pretty well clustered. We really don't know. We've got a wide spread of ideas where teams are going to be dropping, but of course, game number 1 is always contested, and immediately we're in shots. Now, this is interesting straight away, Moses. 7, they went into Kumisera in the scrims, got smashed by Alliance, and have adjusted to go to San Martin, where there's about 5 teams already.
Yeah, San Martin was a big question mark going in. We had a bit of an idea, judging by the few scrims we were able to watch, and now looking like 7 has decided to just exert control over that center point in the map. And we are going to be headed south, so that San Martin and south area is going to be a very important transition point as these teams try and vie for control. We're expecting to see likely some conservative behavior from these teams in game number 1. This is a big deal. This is the first and last, actually, the first game of the last step to get into the Pro League for these guys. And the first game is always going to set that pace. So we'll see how 7, who has now found the very juicy spot of San Martin, is going to handle that.
Yeah, there's a number of teams obviously competing here. You may not recognize the tags, etc. So, for example, Fenerbahce, formerly played as Griffins throughout most of GLL that you've maybe been seeing online as well. Gamer Legion, also formerly known as Loot Goblins. That's Timber Hamster, Bjorn Mackendark. So those guys in there, obviously we know all about Avangard's new lineup because they just performed on the LAN that we were all at.
Yeah, we were all just on them last week. So
yeah, TSM, of course, this is their new roster, the Danish roster. Rory, Turtle, Gustav, and Wookie Bookie, a very strong roster in my opinion.
Yes.
I think we're going to see big things coming out of them to see how they perform. 7, as you mentioned, it's actually Mumino and his team. So Mumino, obviously, former Avangard player. Crew actually qualified very strongly. These guys on your screen there, they qualified very strongly throughout the Turkish qualifiers as well. Al Pachinki there, and actually an invite. Sans Domicile, formerly known as Millennium. These guys, obviously, very strong duo players. I think is it Sesko and THC that's been regularly winning on the Broadcaster Royale sort of side of things.
We've seen them in a lot of different spots, and I guess the big name here, and I think the one with the most power behind it, is that TSM roster.
Yeah.
And so that's the big name, but really TSM have all had terrific personalities. They've had, you know, obviously a lot of changes over the last couple of months, settling on what is probably the most competitively viable team. With Rory leading the charge there with Wookie Bookie, Turtle, and Gustav, but they are still a new team. And it's unproven so far.
And it's a big adjustment in terms of TSM, you know, choosing to go the European route. This is a heavily American-based organization. Obviously, they have been sort of coming from the America side, but they've chosen to go with the Danish org, and some very, very good players. I mean, Wookie Bookie and Gustav. Wookie Bookie, he had 36 frags within GLL, and I think he even missed the last 2 weeks of play as well, him and Gustav. He used to play, obviously, with Dignitas. So he was on track to be one of the highest fraggers in the entire season at GLL. Obviously a beast with a rifle. I'm going to assume there's still something in his clause that says if there's a decent sniper rifle in M24, it has to go to Wookie Bookie.
It's in the contract. And I guess the question now is, what's the dynamic of this team? And I guess the script has kind of changed here in the sense that we don't know, Rory being the only holdover, I guess he's the transitory player between the old roster and the new. So Gustav typically taking on leadership roles with Wookie Bookie, getting in with the frags. We'll see what kind of roles that Turtle and Rory play in this new team, and in a circumstance that will be extremely important for them as players and as a roster moving into the Pro League.
Well, with it being a Southern Circle, it does mean a lot of teams rotating early. 5 minutes gone, and they're already on the move, heading down south to try and get a decent central position. With it being such a deep south circle, it's going to be tricky to find those spots. Siphon, a decent couple of shots on Mumino there as he passes on by. Mumino used to be the scout quite regularly for the Avantgarde lineup. Looks like he's doing the same thing here for Seven.
And this is what we're talking about with that pressure along the northern side of the first zone. Coming out of San Martin is Seven. They're going to have to come to a bit of a stop here and try and get Mumino back up health-wise. Leonis, there is a crate in the center. It's going to be difficult for them to find it, however, so it's in a bit of a tough spot. But if they can find it, they'll be rewarded with the AUG and the 8X, not to mention all the gear that goes along with it.
Yeah, it's all about those level 3s. Very strong, but as you mentioned, Lost Leonis, it's an enormous city. I doubt whether anyone's really going to spot that out. See Moorman playing for Alliance here. We did try and tot up the exact amount of teams he's played in.
Between 7 and 11.
THC, that's a good couple of tags on THC there in the distance with that hollow. Doesn't quite finish him off, though. The rest of Stan's domicile. It basically means in French they are looking for a new home, as are a lot of these teams and orgs, of course, with the PUBG European League upon us. If they can get that big qualification spot, and it is a tough old run, they've got to get top 8 in these groups, and then they need to get top 10 in the next set of groups, which will be happening in 3 days' time. But they have to get through this gauntlet of games, the first 5 being on Miramar. That's a Marado down in a ditch.
Alliance has got this very pivotal position here up atop the church. You can see Seven just to their south, looking to see if they can find a way up here. I'm not sure what Seven's game plan is. They're taking this slope cover. I think Edelweiss is going to try and move up, see if he can find some hard cover in the compounds just a little bit further up this ridge. But for Alliance, they're going to gain a lot of vision from this point. They're going to be able to kind of glean where teams are rotating through. And for Seven, looks like they might want to contest. T-Bone is going to give up that high ground position as they can likely see Seven getting closer and closer, want to brace themselves for impact with Mumino and his squad.
Yeah, checking straight away, caught a glimpse of a head. Might actually take it. Couple of pop shots, doesn't really land it though with the M16. T-Bone, still no early kill. Who's going to be the first person to die in the PEL qualifiers? I don't think anyone wants to be that person. It's an unenviable position, but it's going to happen soon to someone as Alliance will take hold. Meanwhile, in the bottom corner there, you can see Penta. They're just pulling up, looks like that was down on the coastline. So Seven are going to back away from this one. Alliance trying to battle them on the exit path as well. It's Edelweiss in the distance, getting lit up.
Taking a lot of damage in that lead vehicle as Edelweiss, so you got to be careful, as you don't want to go down to that vehicle explosion very early. They're going to be moving up toward the Chumacera area, maybe trying to get the high ground of their own for Avantgarde. They had an okay showing at GLL, but definitely not the result they wanted. Strong start, but not the finish that they were looking for.
Something I found with a number of the CIS teams is actually they've been performing better on Miramar as well. I mean, we were talking about obviously Team Unique went on to win, but most of their wins, their victories had come on Miramar, of course. Sadly not competing in the PEL. They failed to qualify in the online qualifiers. But Tornado Energy Battle, the team that did do very well throughout the last 2 seasons of GLL, Melman and co there. Kamaka chasing behind BSD from Fenerbahce. Just ahead of them. X-Team also crossing over. They're actually almost using him as a scout as the rest of Fenerbahce come behind in the buggy.
Here we go.
There's 2 in the buggy. Are we going to get an early chance? Tomoff actually pulls up.
Turn around.
Zong, that's just going to cost you. You knew it was going to happen. And Zong will be the first man down. Kalendor also caught out as well. And it's Fenerbahce losing too early on.
You got to know that's going to happen to you. You're in the buggy. It's the most weak vehicle you can use in a situation like that. I don't know what they're trying to do. When you're trying to road rage them off in a buggy, they have to stop and one guy's going to murder both of you, and that's exactly what happened.
It's one of those moments where
it seemed like a good idea at the time.
You're like, I'm a passenger. What else can I do? I'm going to shoot. And yeah, it is. And it just, your brain just doesn't really take it in there. The Joker's up the top there. Senya, former legend of CS 1.6 Navi's team, of course, hasn't perform just yet in the PUBG scene. Used to be a coach, I think, for CSGO as well for a number of years as well. But here he is in his inaugural LAN, I believe, for PUBG. I don't think he's actually... He may have obviously had the CIS qualifiers, I guess you could say, was technically a LAN as well. Here in Minsk.
Here we are. We can see now with the map.
PTI, though, sorry.
Exactly. I was going to say the Avangard boys with Penta making late entry to the zone on the southeastern side, but for the most part, looks like relatively settled. No one opting for the island route. Obviously, it looks like it's going to come out of that zone pretty quickly. So now it's decent spacing, save for the western side, where Marco is getting relatively close to Zen with Erki and company holding a compound atop the high ground. We'll see now what happens, north or south.
I know it's interesting actually seeing G2 because obviously they're dropping Commissariat as well,
right.
But choosing to stay up there. I mean, Commissariat is not your standard town because it's like this triple-tiered sort of city sort of set. So you've got this like high ground position, I guess, which is exactly what Zoekdetnaam are trying to get here. Zoekdetnaam, by the way, in Dutch, it means looking for a name as well.
Everyone's looking for something in this lobby.
You've got the French looking for names, looking for homes. You've got the Dutch, who've been looking for a name for a very long time.
Yeah, it's been,
so these guys, you think they'd find it eventually, but it's been it's been almost a year since they've been looking for this name, it seems. Still looking. Evil, former Spec Gaming player, of course, and did very well there in the duo tournaments in DreamHack. One of the boys of Avangard making their way along the southern road, trying to come across. The circle pretty much centers up, so nobody really can be too upset by that one. You can see Alliance, of course, making the adjustments there. Michael, formerly Sir Survivor, Michael renamed himself, so if you're just wondering who that is for Alliance. Meanwhile, Isuba making their way up north.
So this is the shift I imagine that everybody wanted. Basically, Center takes out the island, takes out some water, and now it's going to be a matter of crashing Center, trying to displace compounds if possible. For Rupture, he's got the Mutant. I'm going to switch over to M4. We got some slow movers up this hill, and Carradine is going to actually jump out and ditch the Murado, so he's going to be left behind without a vehicle. He might have to get scooped up by one of his squad. So losing a vehicle this early without any backup from your teammate means, yes, that is going to be free kill. Turning around, coming on back, and scooping up his teammate, G2. They've held up in Commissariat. They're not going to move too far. They've got a Tornado Energy Battle, or just Tornado, if you will, coming down the hill, trying to find their own home in this zone as we still have 62 alive. And it's a bit of a slow going here in this phase number 2.
Yeah, the standard Miramar setup really takes about 25 minutes before it gets going, really. Yep. It really can depend on the circle. Obviously, we saw the bizarre circumstances that can come about in circle settings. TSM and Gamer Legion here, I'm got to get used to calling them Gamer Legion. They've obviously switched from Loot Goblins. They switched from LG to GL, just to make that switch around. So good luck, I guess, is to them. But a very strong team, by the way. You know, they were very unlucky. I wouldn't say unlucky. They screwed up. Is probably the best way to say. They should have qualified for GLL. They've had a very good season. These nades could be crucial. I wondered when it was going to come. It's gone off just to the right. They knew it was coming as well.
TSM is actually Wiki it relatively aggressive. TSM now forming up. They want to get up on top of this thing with GL, Gamer Legion. They're going to actually back off, and this is going to give TSM a bit of an opportunity to shoot in the back, see if they can pick one up. Master trying to make his escape in the Murado, but
they found a compound. That's safe. It's a pretty clear evac. The question is, does TSM want to go aggressive? I mean, in game number 1, do you want to be that aggressive? Wookie Bookie's certainly sensing it. Only got the Mini 14 though, so going to back away. As Turtle and Co. also try and back away. So Gustav is finally going to join the rest of TSM.
Avangard is having trouble making entry into the zone from the looks of it. They're trying to decide if they're going to come in with the blue. I think that they're probably just going to try and play edge. They're pretty late, finding that center compound very dangerous.
They have that really deep north start, right? They're way up in the north. So it is a long route down. I'm actually just wondering where Isuba are, because obviously they normally start way up north as well. I think they took a deep route. Yeah, they went all the way down Valadimar way and have come in. They've actually got a very good central spot.
Yeah, so for Isuba, they don't have to move too far. But with TSM, getting aggressive is not something that we say too much with this squad, and I think never have. So you have to wonder at what what kind of identity they're going to try and make for themselves. And they have a lot of games and a lot of opportunity to decide how they want to do that.
I think
but it's there's only one chance really to make this thing work.
I think with the likes of Wookie and Gustav, they definitely going to be more aggressive. You think of, was it PGL? Where they were playing as obviously the old lumber mill setup. You know, one of the highest fragging teams on the LAN. Very unlucky not to win the LAN itself. Actually, came second only to a very good performance from. It was Ghost that time, wasn't it? Ghost that snuck it, I think it was.
I think that was Groovy and Ghost.
Was it the Groovy days? Was
yeah, no, Lumber Mill was definitely. I guess if you think about it,
I was upset when Lumber Mill broke up.
Yeah, right? Most of Lumber Mill is technically here. They're just playing for different teams and different groups.
Yeah, Trifley with Accelerate.
Yeah, Trifley's with Accelerate. Lumber Mill, obviously being one of the great unsigned teams, and they kind of got split up. Dignitas taking half, and then with everybody else just kind of filtering off to their own teams. And there's been a couple of changes since then, but really picking up that core of Wookie and Gustav for TSM, with Turtle coming back from Ghost, and obviously Rory staying over from the previous roster, is an interesting mix of players that have a lot of experience, but not a lot of success under this banner. I think Gustav and Wookie being probably the most successful out of the bunch. I
think we might be seeing one of the most successful TSM teams. We'll see how it goes, though. The Circle shift south, but it's not a hard shift. It's we're talking about E2's position earlier, weren't we? It's still looking very good. They're going to get a little bit more central. Crew also with that 2-2 split looking pretty solid. Very gathered, though, obviously, because it is the southern shift. All these teams that are around the edge of Kumisera, etc., all got to squeeze into this northern tip.
This is going to be a difficult transition in this phase, and this is where we're going to see things start to heat up, and this is where Miramar becomes a problem, where we talked about this as we were coming together, where once you hear gunshots, it's like gophers. They start popping up everywhere, and it looks like TSM is going to start getting active with OHM. They've got a clear line of sight now, and this is where the jousting will begin.
Yeah, if we're looking the other way, I was going to say, if we turn around, we'll see Sans Domicile in the distance there, approaching TSM. TSM were kind of occupied, as you say, by OHM in the hillside. They're continuing to put the shots down, which is why they're not going the left side of these buildings, because it is being peppered. SDF looking for a home, and they're going sort of central, but you can see they're just running straight into team after team. This may well be the first team we see going down the rotations. They're going straight on top of Alpachinki, just to the side. They've got Crew to the north of them. They've got Penta to the south of them, really struggling for a home. Velen also going down there, so G2 losing one in their rotation.
With these vehicle transitions later in Miramar games, you just have to find a dip and stop, and that's the problem. Is that line of sight management on Miramar is so difficult. You never really know who can see you from what angle, and you can see here for SDF, they're just struggling to find a spot that's safe, but it looks like they're going to be able to limp in and just kind of start taking it.
This is the danger as well. Alpachinki were shooting, firing on the Sans Domicile. The second they do, the third party comes in comes a Vanguard from behind, peppers them. Meanwhile, 7, well, iDevice, that's a tough run. You can see the rest of his team just down low. If he can reach them, he might be able to get in the shed. Looks like he's going to get close enough. Meanwhile, we also saw Steph there getting knocked by the Crew guys. They've also lost a player early on to another knock as well. I think it was a vehicle.
Oh, they're getting pushed.
We ran down. The nades coming in. Crew going to try and push for this one. This is the aggression from the Turkish, one of the top Turkish teams, by the way, in qualifiers. They did very well through the qualifiers, but this is the problem. You go active, you go aggressive. And you can see they're getting shot. I think it's Zukta now and popping on them.
And with aggression like that, I like the idea, but there's just so much open space. These long sloping hills just leave you very weak to flanking or even lines of sight. But this is going to be a bit of a bloodbath. This is a tough area. There's so many open hills up and down, and I don't understand how long these players are going to be able to play this conservative style. You're going to have to crunch up eventually, and that really adds to that RNG factor with who can see me, where am I getting attacked from, and if this fight finishes, which one's coming next.
Well, Tornado have been sat in the north, taking all these pot shots on 7 and G2, on Zukta Nam. But they're still outside the zone. They have to make this death run effectively into the valley. Oh, Mumino, what has happened there? That is not good. Rolled the vehicle and trashed his teammate. Both gone down, and 7 down to 2. That is just about as worse as you can get in the first game.
Well, Edelweiss is going to get a bit of a bonus from the loot, but that is not what you want to happen. You just said it. Vehicles can be very dangerous in close quarters, especially when you're rushing to get out of them and your teammate jumps out in front of it. There's no res coming. You kill yourself and bad things happen. But for Avangar, they've been getting picked apart. Maxazor, we saw a terrific individual performance through GLL. Lots of excellent sniping happening. We'll see if we'll continue. He's got the Kar 98 on his back. We're down to 56 alive. We're headed into minute 20. The circle is about to shift once again, and this is going to be the death circle coming up.
Yeah, 56 alive. Let's see how many remain when this circle makes its adjustment. Will it center up? It has done the majority of the time. Oh, it's a deep south switch. It sits well for the likes of Penta and, of course, Vanguard, who have the compound on the north, and the crew guys also actually could be pushed from many angles. I mean, you can just see the amount of teams in this northern edge now that have to continue pushing south.
The big factor here is these ridges on the northern side of the zone. They're going to have to come down these hills just to make that zone. So I'm going to be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, rather, if TSM tries to wrap south, but there's just nowhere to go. They'd be going through two separate teams in OHM and Avangard. Obviously, they don't know that, but there comes the vehicle push, and I expected it to happen early, and this is where TSM gets into trouble in these late-game vehicle pushes. We'll see if they can make it into the zone.
It's the roll of the dice, right? And in this vehicle push, you either go now. Oh, wow. Fenerbahce gone. They are the first team gone. Fenerbahce down. The crew guys taking them out. This is the roll of the dice. You go the vehicles. You're either the first one in which case the chances you will get a spot, but you're also going to be the first one in that everybody shoots at. They have managed to find themselves a little shack. TSM in safe, got the vehicle compound set up as best they can, laying out the smoke to try and lay things out, because this will be the final use of those vehicles. They are getting peppered, but they are in safe. Alliance, they were in the furthest north spot. They have to push through 3 different teams, Gamer Legion being one of them, as they take Alliance down.
Not so lucky for Alliance in the late game vehicle push, losing Michael in transition. Tornado Energy battle. They're running up the side of the hill. This is where things get a little bit dicey, because the circle's already closing. And this is going to force a lot of people into desperate maneuvers, specifically for 7. They've only got 2 left. They have to beat the zone. It's doing now significant damage. They cannot take it for granted. Avangard trying to sneak their way in. This northern side is going to be very messy. Isuba
pushing up on the hill. They saw Gamer Legion coming. This is going to be a big clash between them. One of them's going to have to come out on top. Bjorn with a spray finds the head of Swaka there as he manages to get him down, but there are 3 of the members just the other side. Kejdoran just about to push around. Bjorn goes through it, that big yellow suit in them. Meanwhile, comes around Mac and Dark, took a big old hit. Hamster also tagged up, tosses that nade. The nade might go to the right, it will. You can see Zupa pushing through, he's flushing them out.
Yeah, there's no room to maneuver here. Mac and Dark and Hamster in the low side with Isuba above. We did see 7 did go down through that last exchange, so that's the team out down to 14. Isuba's got the man advantage. Hamster's now going for that low side flank to try and get around Isuba. TSM getting active with OHM, and this is just the death circle as expected.
Zuktitnam also just gone down, 14th place for them. I saw Senya doing a lot of the work there for the Jokers. Also pushing around, that's going to be a 2nd team, a 3rd team, 4th team. Good lord, we're losing them so fast as they all drop out. You can see Macadar still pushing around the side, gets himself 1-2, gets the quick double spray down. There's also Swalkers down as well, so it's effectively a 2-on-1 now for Gamer Legion as he gets a peek over the side. I think he caught a glimpse of his head. Macadar ducks back down.
This is looking good for Mac and Dark, and it looks like Isuba's kind of let this engagement get away from them. They're going to get a res on the Hamster. They're going to back the top, leaving Pearson by himself, joining in with Alf and the squad. They've got OHM down, maybe trying to take some of those kills away from TSM. But this edge of the circle, especially on the eastern side, has got high and low ground in play. TSM, again, repositioning with their vehicles to the center of the circle. We're about to see yet another shift. This game is just moving along at a feverish pace.
Games Legion still trying to come down from the north. They're getting lit up by THM. We're watching Avangard pressuring OHM there. That's on the side. We can see Alpachinki also got a glimpse on our OHM, so they're getting pushed from both the south and the west.
Penta's looking really good here. They haven't really been too involved, but they have a great split with Breaksco holding onto the south side.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to get the benefit of the next circle as well. So for Penta, if they can maintain this compound hold, they're going to be looking really great through this mid and end game.
You can see Joker's going to have to push down. Looks like SDF already trying to make that push and try and find a position on the edge of the circle. Crew and Tornado. Crew have been happy in their compound and taking pot shots at everyone that passes by, but now it's their turn to make the move. Alliance still with the 2 alive in the north there. Moleman also out in the blue, it looks like. So it looks like he's either tanking the meds and he's going to make his way out there. He is trying to make his run. He's trying to tank out that blue zone, but man, it is punishing at this phase.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go for the vehicle, but he's committed to this. We're going to lose Moleman here in just a couple of seconds. So for Alliance, It's going to be a 12th place outing here. Actually, he does have a teammate left, so we'll see if... Oh, their Alliance is actually down in the zone in front of him, so Mole Man likely done. No, that's the zone taking him. TSM's gamble with the vehicle push has been paying off. You can see Wookie Bicky taking down Timber from Gamers Legion. So for TSM and Penta, they're relatively in decent position, but for Crew, they had this great hold at the edge of the zone, but now they're going to have to move in a decision-making. Are they going to hold and trying to get kills, or are they going to try and make the zone?
TSM looking to try and gatekeep, looking to try and pick up as many kills as they can. You can see Alpacini off to the side of them. Going to be keeping OHM pretty much down and out. They picked up the AUG earlier on, which means they have also got some level 3 gear in there. It is just Cheyenne, the last man standing for them. Tebow finds Isuba. That's Isuba going down in 12th position as they come down from the north, but they're still pushing in towards TSM. You can see Gamer Legion here, Macandark and Hamster. They are being peppered by TSM. They have themselves a hay bale and nothing else.
This is great for TSM, but this is not good for Gamers Legion. Only a hay bale and the zone at your back. The smoke is down, but this is not looking good for Hamster. He's either going to go down to the zone or TSM. He's going to make that decision himself. He's going to get out of the smoke and try and make his way across. TSM actually not finding him just yet, so for Hamster, if he can make it in, maybe he might be able to get a couple of placements here. A lot of teams are going down very quickly. Look at that kill feed.
It is an absolute slaughter as everybody moves in. That was all across the north and the south. Tornado energy battle. Woo! And Jokers clashing, a straight-up brawl over there. And it's Senya once again that comes out on top for the Jokers. He's got to see whether he can get anything rescued from that because the blue is on their backs. I don't think he's going to have to do anything. It's going to be him and D-Mash that's just going to have to push for it in a two-man run now as TSM continue to take players down. Crew also losing a member there. Jokers, the tap, always been knocked, and that's going to be D-Mash and Senya. They're the last two standing.
So now at the edge of the zone, D-Mash, he's got a couple of decisions to make. Does he want? He should be able to make the zone here. He's got Senya with him on the high side. No flank coming. Crew kind of creeping into the zone. They will be the closest ones there, but Jokers are going to have to be very quiet as any gunshots are going to alert Crew to their presence.
I don't know about you, but I don't agree with Penta sticking with this 2-2.
Yeah,
now
this is where you got to collapse. You got to collapse here for sure for Penta.
I mean, Udia and Brexco, they've got to get moving fast because we can. Well, we obviously have the benefit of the hindsight. We can see the map, but we can see they have two French players very close to them. The Jokers guys also come in that direction. Looks like Crew probably going to come down the hill straight towards them as well. They need to get together very quickly. Meanwhile, TSM did manage to salvage their vehicles, and they've managed a little push-up, keeping hold of them, setting themselves up a little compound with that tractor. Meanwhile, Avantgarde still got that compound wall edge of this warehouse. It is going to give them so much cover in this valley. You can see Alpachinki are just to the north of them as well. It's team number 14. You can see in the distance there. Meanwhile, Penta, they're making the move. Yeah. Here comes Brexco and Udia.
This looks really good for them. SDF is kind of sharing this little wall for them, and if they don't get caught on the transition, they're moving as two, so that really gives them an opportunity to trade if THC does want to get aggressive. But if I'm THC, I'm just trying to play this thing low and slow.
Crew and Jokers very much on top of each other. Nades, you can see already being lined up here. That's going straight towards Rupture. May just bounce off to the right. It does. The bounce isn't kind with them. They have to go for the peak over the side there. Meanwhile, Udia may fire down in that compound. Does fire Holo, and that's going to be THC down as well. Sandstorm Missile go down in 8th place. Meanwhile, Senya gets picked off. D-Mash goes down, and that is the Jokers in 8th.
That was kind of the worry for Jokers. As soon as they started to make any level of noise, Crew decided to come down and clear them out. Penta's now rejoined. Udir is going to get knocked, however. That is going to be Avantgarde. Snoopy taking him down at distance with the SKS. TSM is going to get a couple more kills, and now this is looking like a TSM game here. They're clearing out this northern western side of the zone with a line onto Alpha and the rest of AP. With Penta taking this compound to the south, this is now looking by like a kind of three-team endgame with Avantgarde, TSM, and Penta.
T-Bone's managed to just crawl his way in towards that. They've got a decent defilade. So you can see there's that smallish of mound there was. Kane finds Crew, and obviously we saw Crew, they're up in the hills. Yeah. You know, while they may have taken down the Jokers, they've still got to make this unenviable run. Udia down. Don't know whether Brexco is going to be able to get to him and recover him.
Totally
because
zoned.
Rupture has to push out of this. The zone pushes him so badly, he's just going to have to run for it. Doesn't manage to catch Brexco in the back there. And of course, Rupture also looks like he's going to bleed out in the zone. Don't think there's much he can do. The first aid will just about get in there, but now what's he going to do? He's going to try and do it again. That's not going to work.
He's going to have to wait. I mean, this is just hoping that someone else gets spotted. They're made it into the top 7. This will be a likely 6th place finish for Crew. But for Penta, they now have eyes on 2 fights between Avantgarde, Alf, and TSM.
4 teams with 4 and just T-Bone, basically, along with Crew, of course, who are about to lose Rupture. Unless...
He's trying. Breaksco might get himself a kill here. Here comes a
just gonna
suicide
throw a nade. Out, like panic nade.
Yeah.
So that's actually give Penta a massive kills there. So
Yeah.
TSM are around about 5 or 6 kills. The circle kind of pulls away from all. Avantgarde, though, they've got this little ridge line, and there's this big valley ahead of them. Everybody else is going to have to slug it out. TSM are going to come in high. Alpachinki will be up on high. T-Bone's just going to keep on crawling in behind, hoping he can use TSM as a cover. Wookie Bookie kind of senses something, though, because he's already looking at the back.
Avantgarde has made a dash to the center. They sent Snoopy in with the vehicle. It's only a motorcycle, no fort set up just yet. This is going to be a decider now if TSM is going to be able to get past Alpachinki. T-Bone is lurking in the background, but Penta does have direct line of sight, I believe, towards TSM. So for TSM, they're going to have to decide what fight they want to take, and it looks like it's going to be the one with Alpachinki.
So Penta are going to try and take the ridge line.
TSM doesn't have a good advantage here. They have no low side cover to deal with here.
They either push down. Well, they're going to have to push
down. They've called
Penta,
it. You can
right?
tell. They said that we can't use the ridge, and they're going to have to move towards Penta.
And they will be looking down onto Penta. You can see Penta have got the cover of this tractor trailer. T-Bone, he's going to be creepy crawling in. Wookie Bookie making a swing all the way around the western side of the blue circle, keeping his eye on it. Chris pops out from Penta, tries to bash them back, force them away. Still 16 alive in this first round of Miramar.
TSM is actually slowly getting the zone on Penta. If they can get around them, the only issue here is Avantgarde having line of sight on them as well. Anuctive does have that mini at the ready. TSM needs to kind of initiate this fight with Penta ASAP, try and get through them. But for TSM, they're putting themselves into a pinch. Now Penta is going to come at them. Breaksco following up the nade, landing next to the vehicle. We're already at it. That's another down. And TSM is very quickly being dominated here. And there comes Penta and just wipes them instantly. TSM down.
And really, that was just Chris and Breaksco, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just the nades. They got that close. And they got wiped out so fast there. T-Bone, meanwhile, still alive, getting their placement points ahead of him. Alpachinki trying to creep around. So now Penta hold the ridge line. T-Bone, if he can keep crawling, I think he's at the right pace when you're crawling along. I think you're perfectly fine with the blue on your back here on these settings. Meanwhile, Avantgarde are picking apart Alpachinki. Snoopy, we saw him make this move earlier on, and it's absolutely benefiting. He's managed to pick them off as they keep on pushing. Oh, you're going to try and use that vehicle? I don't think so, son. Going to toss a nade in your face.
That's
you did
going
just
right
get
at him.
peppered from the sides. That may just bounce off to the right. He rolled in because of the edge. You got to know your geometry. You got to whether it's going to bounce, and maybe a bit of golf for the guys to get the geometry of the shots. But there we go. Breaksco peek over the side, and Alpachinki just getting wrecked.
Alpha's the last man standing, and now actually Penta is picking up a lot of frags. They've got 12 now. They did lose Udyr, but they've got a 3-man squad. They've got the high side. They've got the zone at their back, however. 30 seconds to try and make as much or put as much damage onto Avantgarde as possible, as Alpachinki has essentially been eliminated with only Alpha at the edge of the zone. Breaksco looking to try and finish him off, try and pick up yet another frag. So this is now a Penta Avantgarde endgame.
On Octave, I love that little flank he just made. Went right. Okay, Snoopy, you're holding this high ridge line. Penta are going to try and come over the hill. I'm going to get down low and try and cover it off. Know exactly that tree is at. On Octave just tosses the nade in. No way you're going to res him. That nade's going to find its home. Breaksco will finish off. Alpachinki, the Alf place will go down.
Look at
Chris
this flank.
does bleed out. And Octave gets him down. And now it's a 2-on-3. Molly's getting tossed down as Breaksco forced low. He's been separated from the team. It's basically 2 1v1s, but Breaksco finds the headshot there. Onto Snoopy, catches him round the side. Kane tries to get the spray down. Max Sizer, not going to be enough. Breaksco does finish off. Now we're in a 2-on-2.
This is looking really good. Kane, he took a lot of damage there at the end, but I like the split by Penta as Breaksco finished off Alpachinki. Came on the low side. Oh no, Kane, not like this.
Oh, he just tapped into the play zone. Breaksco now in a 2v1. Nothing they can do for Kane. Breaksco sees one, sees moving up, it doesn't matter. Can't manage to find the headshot there. I think it's Max Sizer in the end that finished him off. 7 kills for Avantgarde. They will top out, but I think it was 14 kills for Penta at the end there as well. So massive performance from Breaksco, getting himself 8 frags in there. He did this before online as well. Had some huge performances in the qualifiers. So solid performance overall. TSM, well, they were looking so good at one point, but they all just got blown apart by the massive nade barrage from Penta.
Yeah, TSM, I think it did not have a lot of maneuverability up in that plane. There was no cover to work with, no dips. They only had a little bit of hard cover here and there. Avangar really rode the circle for that last half of the mid game, and it's a benefit for them as well. But for Penta, that was the most impressive performance I think I've seen for them in a little while here. For Breaksco and Kane, especially the end, where they finished off Albachinki, they had the split going, and the way they encircled it, Kane hadn't taken that damage and gone down to the zone, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
That might have left them a little bit more room to maneuver, but for Penta, that was a